a very important conversation today, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're watching this at home or on streaming, you can ask others to also come in. I have with me Lieutenant General Khandare. Lieutenant General Khandare has held various important positions in the Indian Army and has till recently, till a few days back, been the military advisor, the principal advisor to the Ministry of Defence during Operation Sindoor, which obviously has given him a very important operational role, advisory role, and more than a ringside view. General Khandare, good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us. I hope you can hear me clearly, sir.
Yes, Arnab. Good evening. Jai Hind to all your viewers. I can hear you clearly.
Jai Hind, sir. Sir, I'll come straight to the point. Did we hit Pakistan's nuclear facilities during Operation Sindoor? Did we hit their nuclear facilities or nuclear bases or nuclear storage hubs?
You know, Arnab, we are strategic analysts. You know, when we do analysis, we do it in a manner that we join the dots. Every possible input, whatever we get, and our analysis leads us to an assessment, which is up to the event and even subsequent to the event. So when I say what made me conclude this, I want to tell you whatever happened on that night, I want to take you a step ahead. Can we do that?
Let's do that. We have all the time, sir. We have all the time, but I would request my team to not just mention that you're a defense expert, but that you have been till recently, the principal advisor to the MOD. Please continue, sir. Please. Yes, sir.
I'll walk you through, Arnab, and your viewers to understand the psychology of Pakistan military leaders, and that will give you an insight as to how they behave. Now, my first point here is, you look at the history. Whenever a Pakistani military leader has failed, he has got promoted. Now, take for example, there was a coup, Field Marshal Ayub Khan. Then you look at this Pervez Musharraf, he becomes the head of the state. And now this person, on 12th, we had that heinous crime. 22nd, we had that heinous crime. Prior to that, on 17th, he had given a hate speech about India to the diaspora of Pakistan and telling them that the two-nation theory holds good. And he had also amplified to say that if we are going to adopt or adapt to the Western civilization, then why the hell did we create a Pakistan? You go into the mind of this man and you'll realize what I'm trying to tell you. Now, this was on 17th, on 22nd this happened. 26th, this man goes to Kakul and he's telling the young minds there that this two-nation theory and how India needs to be tackled. There is no thought, there is no compassion, there is no sense of emotion to say that civilians, tourists have been killed on the other side of the line of control. Then, after this kind of a military disgrace or a failure that he goes through, I am sure he goes and tells the stooges that are there in the political hierarchy that better promote me so that the failure can be turned into a victory. And the only thing that combines the population of Pakistan is Hate India campaign. Now, all that together, if let us say, I am saying hypothetically, if he had not done this, history would have remembered him as a failure. So he has diverted the attention very carefully and taken it as a victory. And this is the psychology of military incompetence of Pakistan leaders. When you join the dots, you realize that how big a failure could have been inscribed in their history. And he's turned it by just getting himself the Field Marshal's post, the coveted post. And he hasn't quit from the Chief of Army Staff post, which Ayub Khan had done earlier. So Please join all the dots in the cognitive domain and you'll understand why. It's not what, it is why. You have to understand why it is being done like this.
So I go back to the issue when we were hitting Pakistan. When we hit them, we first hit them on the 6th, 7th morning, we hit them on 8th, and then we hit them on 9th, late night, 10th, early morning. In that period, they had the option of not hitting back, but they continued their drone strikes, and they had a few unsuccessful attempts at sending PL-15 missiles and trying to target our air bases in different areas. When you said to Shravan that we didn't target the nuclear bases, but they got hit. How do we conclude, sir, that they got hit? Because what are the points of information we have which lead us to the conclusion that they possibly got hit?
You know, Arnab, the first part you covered when you introduced the topic, when you said what was happening there, the kind of rectification measures that were done. So you join the dots, you know, you will come to the conclusion yourself. You join the dots that somebody rings up our DGMO, and our DGMOs are officers of the highest caliber and character. And he tells him that, look, we've got to stop. For the previous 2 days, where was the Chief of Army Staff of Pakistan? Was he traceable? It is very natural to assume that he was in his command post because we had been targeting so accurately. So the point is, you have to keep joining the dots, analyze and come to an assessment. And thereafter, when information started trickling in, leading to a thinking that something drastic has happened, there could have been something which triggered the seismic tremors. Seismic tremors only in that area? Why not elsewhere? Why only after that hit? You know, we have to keep asking ourselves questions and we have to come to deductions. When all this news that came up about a plane coming from Egypt and the kind of possibility that something has gone wrong there, that was in the fog of war. In the fog of war, nobody is able to say anything. It is only after you sit down, you join the dots and you realize what is the psyche of the person, whether to admit failure? No. Pakistani general will never accept a failure. You remember Niazi just one day before surrender, what bravado he was displaying? So whenever you're looking at your adversary, you have to look at the entire background that you have. We talk about a background intelligence, legacy data, and the current part. And thereafter you do a very careful analysis and assessment.
Now the Noor Khan Air Base near Chaklala, near Rawalpindi, is critical to the airlift operations, strategic airlift operations, and it is near the headquarters of the Pakistan Strategic Plans Division, which oversees the country's nuclear arsenal. So when we targeted this strike, when we targeted this area very specifically, down to a meter, so obviously we knew, did we not know that this is very important from the nuclear point of view? We would have had that information with us.
When we choose targets, I must compliment the Chief of Air Staff and his staff, the Director General of Air Operations. It's well. So if
obviously it is not what we had originally intended to hit something and hit it hard. And that is the thing I would say. I would give full marks to our officers that they planned everything well. And if Pakistan may not have declared their location, but we possibly thought it to be a conventional target, and it went into their nuclear arsenal, or it possibly damaged something, may not have hit the stockpile. But obviously, our targets, when we chose, we did not choose a nuclear target.
We did not choose a nuclear target.
But we knew there was a nuclear facility there or a nuclear control center there.
A nuclear control center is different from a stockpile, A nuclear control center is where all the mechanism is there, the communications are there, the shelter is there. All that is a part of the command and control center. And even the command and control center is extremely important because the communications at any stage should not get damaged. So, the command control center is equally important. It's a vital objective.
So we by hitting Chaklala, we decapitated their nuclear command or made it dysfunctional for a while?
Whether we made it dysfunctional or not would be based on the response that we got from them that they wanted a ceasefire.
So the fact that they wanted a ceasefire indicates that their nuclear command center was hit and they had lost control.
That's exactly what I am implying, Arnab, that when we have to read everything and their actions or reactions, it leads you to a conclusion. That's what exactly I have been telling you.
But Kirana Hills was where they kept their nuclear arsenal, and that was also hit. That is where it was believed to be a storage depot.
Again, the point here is every year there is a disclosure to the International Atomic Energy Agency as to where these stockpiles are, what is their security, there is a proper audit that is done. So that part, okay, that is there, but Kirana Hills is okay, but exactly to the meter, we did not definitely aim at that.
So we didn't aim at a nuclear stockpile, but we could have hit it.
That's possible. That's highly possible.
That's highly possible. So we knew that because there was talk of an orange cloud, boron being sent, a sense of, there was loss of information for a while, and then the desperate calls for a ceasefire. So if I connect the dots here, General Khandare, we hit Kirana Hills. Okay, technically we did not target their nuclear base, but their nuclear storage, their nuclear command could have been hit. And then you say they became nervous after that.
And that nervousness, how it gets translated thereafter, and in the beginning itself I told you what is the kind of actions that their leadership took. That was a very quick cover-up, I must say. That was a very quick cover-up. Within days, because Pakistan will fall apart if Pakistan army is not supported by the people. And the people had started rebelling against the army. You just take your mind back to the last 2 years or since the time Imran Khan is in jail. And this was the time when the top leadership there realized that if this military failure gets to the people, then obviously there is no survival for the military or whatever is of the political hierarchy which is in power today. The entire thing would have collapsed because of the wrath of the people. And they did a quick cover-up and they did a quick demonstration of a victory which was based on total falsehood.
Now let's go back.
And that's exactly when you take yourself ahead. You
But
realize what kind of a cover-up and what kind of a brain they have.
I want to take you back because I am very interested in the nuclear issue. Following these strikes and around the time of these dates were the time when Shahbaz Sharif called an emergency meeting of the National Command Authority, which is the supreme decision-making body for nuclear weapons. They never accepted this meeting happened. But now I'm connecting the dots where you're saying we didn't hit the nuclear sites. We didn't target them, but they could have got hit. We didn't target them, but they could have got hit. And then there was this sense of panic in Islamabad. And America got in quite actively. Possibly Pakistan called America and said our nuclear storage has been compromised. We've lost temporarily control of our nuclear command. You must do something. Was that the situation which emerged on the 10th?
The panic in the leadership, as you explained, Arnab, what is the leadership that we are looking at? There is a perpetual panic always in their political leadership, so leave that aside. But if there is a panic in the military leadership, that is something very serious. And that's exactly what happened.
So they panicked because it was obviously related to a possible nuclear hit. I personally think, General Khandare, and